It's near enough to 10 seconds of load on the left rear corner of the car. That's one of the reasons why managing tyres here is such a big story. Gorgeous scene as the cars all drop into position. We're looking at the Coca-Cola by Erebus entry of Will Brown. Gigantic turnaround day on day. That's a viewpoint from James Courtney's helmet visor, the driver's eye, thanks to J-Car. He's on the third row of the grid. We're standing by for our all clear. Reynolds at the front of the field is alongside Will Brown. In the starter's hands, managed by Paul Martin. Second instalment of racing in Western Australia for our third event of the Repco Supercars Championship. They drop the clutch and they get underway very evenly on the run to one. Reynolds might have a tiny edge, but he's slightly out of position.
Gee, that was a remarkable start by both of them. They got off the line. You could not do two better starts off the front row of the grid.
Perfect. In fact, if anything, it probably made it harder for both of them. But in the end, it's Will Brown that's popped out the other side. Cold tyres in a tricky part of this racetrack at turns 4 and 5 over the crest of the hill. Brown, Reynolds, Kostecki, Di Pasquale, Courtney, Most at the top 6 cars, and a bit of action down the inside. Look in the middle of turn 6 because it's always pretty wild on the opening lap down here. Brock Feeney down the order. He starts from pole, believe it or not, in the next one. He's got a battle on his hands at the moment with Macaulay Jones. Nice bit of air margin there for Will Brown. Down the inside. Nice work, Brodie. And he's managed to displace David Reynolds, and he did it readily.
David will be ruining that. He really should have covered, and he did not cover, and Brodie just took a big, bold move, big step straight down the inside. Very nicely done, very aggressive. But Dave should have been covering him.
Coca-Cola entries 1 and 2 in the field now. And that was Alistair McVeigh, and you can see the caption on screen there. And he was counselling David Reynolds, having lost that spot from position 2 back to 3 down there at the final corner. That's a nice margin for Will to now just manage. He's got 1.3 seconds over his teammate who's tail gunning for him. And we're on board now with Anton Di Pasquale. He's having a sniff down the inside for David Reynolds as well, and he's also made good, although they made contact though in this instance, and that cost Reynolds dearly. Now that will probably get looked at.
Back in your rhythm, mate. Back in your rhythm. You've got to defend harder.
Yep, there you go. Alistair said you've got to defend harder. He shouldn't have let him up the inside anyway. And
we're gonna city girl get a little action around here.
Executed by Di Pasquale then. It was total contrast to how the Brodie Kostecki move was put on. Brodie fired down there, had complete control of the car, turned it in, no contact. The other one, you're battling to stop, run into the other car, and both cars off the road.
So within the space of a little more than 2 minutes of racing, David Reynolds, who was vying for the lead into turn 1, is now sitting in 12th position. So that's been gigantically costly for him.
And it's one thing to have pace, it's one thing to be at the pointy end and put yourself in contention. You've got to be able to race hard. This is now racing hard because here comes Cam Waters down the inside. Matt Payne. Sorry, David Reynolds there. I was just looking at Matt Payne up ahead. He's done a nice job in the opening stanza. He's actually 6th.
3 wide on the run towards turn 7, rarely works out. Waters up the inside, Reynolds in behind him. Hazelwood, who's had a quick car, is on the marbles and sliding on the exit of turn 1. And there's a pinch point right here between 2 and 3 as well, where it becomes single file. And if you are side by side there and you end up on top of the rubber debris on the outside, there is no grip whatsoever. So they're going to have a long, hard look at the incident between Di Pasquale and Reynolds down there at turn 7. Pretty heavy contact that sent Reynolds out into the sand, and he's lost a pile of spots as a result of that. The other interesting thing about Anton's run there, his mid-sector was better on that passing lap than anybody else's, so he obviously came out of turn 6 strongly to help set the pass up. Now the margin first and second's closed ever so slightly, but for Will Brown, he can afford to be slightly more relaxed with his tyre usage here at the moment. He can measure and look after how much hurt in those tyres in these early laps. That could be valuable for him later. For sure. Start replay here. Watch how even this is when the lights changed. Their reaction times were all but identical. If anything, there was a tiny advantage for Reynolds.
To all teams, 15-second time penalty to car 11 for a driving infringement.
And on Di Pasquale, here's the view from on board David's car. So So the transition from first to second gear was strong. Problem here for David. He got down there strongly, but not enough to be able to close out. So then he's got a longer, wider arc through turn one, and it's on the dirty side of the road, and that allowed Will to sneak through.
That was, as I said, an unbelievable start. Now, this is what the original pass for Kostecki looked like, which, as I said, was really controlled, slowed the car nicely, got round the inside of the corner, no contact at all. Beautifully done by Brodie. David should have covered him, so he shouldn't have let him down there, but he got down there. Nice job by Brodie. And this is on board now with the pass. Have a listen here. Come from fairway back, didn't he?
Yeah. And he fed it in second gear to make sure that he could throttle steer it around the corner, hold tight, get out the other side without sliding the car too much. Now this is the one that's in question, and it was a lock-up at the critical moment there for Anton on the inside front. And then at that point, with the front tyre not rotating, Anton can't steer the car. Here's the view again. And he's tried to release the brake there to get it to steer, but the damage was done, and you heard the contact on the outside. Now that had the effect then of punting David Reynolds from what had then become fourth all the way back to 12th by the time he scrambled back on. Back to live pictures now, 15 seconds hanging over Anton Di Pasquale, currently 7th, but that's going to really ruin his afternoon after what looked like it could have been a recovery race for him today.
The pass was on for Anton then. I mean, he actually had the room, he was there, he did it. But in terms of execution, looking at the Kostecki manoeuvre versus Anton, there's the difference between doing it well and not. Now, in all of that argy-bargy, Shane Van Gisbergen has only made one spot. The guy that's made the most amount of ground is Cam Waters. He's up 5. So we saw David Reynolds, he's down 9 positions. Golding's up 4. And Waters up 5 spots.
This is Cam Hill, truck assist entry. Tim Edwards said yesterday that he thought that the monster car actually had reasonable pace, but obviously once he got tangled up in all that buffle on the run into the pit lane, you don't necessarily get to see it. So he's rolling around out there at the moment pretty quickly. So's Chaz Mostert. Fastest lap of the race, and it's a sprint race, so he's got 5 bonus points if he can hold the fastest lap. Belongs to Will Brown. But Mostert was quicker in sector 1 than anybody else in the race so far. And the peak speeds are all sitting in the high 55s, low 56.
Yeah, Cam Hill just come into pit lane. They've actually got an issue with that car, the gear shift not returning, so they're just putting the Go-Jacks under that car and bringing it into the garage to have a proper look.
Thanks for the update. So unfortunate for Cam. And we've already had Shane Van Gisbergen mention gear shifting earlier in the weekend as well. So it's something they had a look at Red Bull, and they're now doing the same at Truck Assist. This is a charging Mobil and Optus entry of Chaz Mostert, who's up in 4th position here at the moment. And at the moment, Chaz is only 3.3 seconds from the lead. He's got a bit of fresh air behind him as well. He's got Will Davison tucked in there. Then it's Matt Payne, Di Pasquale with a penalty over his head at the moment. Shane Van Gisbergen's 8. Slade and Waters, that's the 10. 1.2 seconds that gap, holding steady at the moment between Brown and Kostecki. So they've actually got a nice margin over James Courtney, which is the bit that really matters, Mark. When you look at the battle between Brown and Kostecki, between teammates, no big deal. What they'll be watching is what's going on behind. And managing tyres in that process. Now Reynolds is coming under some pressure here also from Todd Hazelwood in the cool drive entry. He was a star yesterday. It was a mirror. They stopped on lap 28 for Hazelwood yesterday, 1 lap after Van Gisbergen, and he really took advantage of fresh young tyres at the back end of it. Hasn't been as speedy today, but he's in perfect position to get down the inside here. So Reynolds is battling. I don't know whether it's the quality of the tyres on it, whether they've made a change to that car.
Might have been a steering arm. I mean, it just doesn't look like he's got any pace, does he?
Winterbottom having a look on Thomas Randall down here. He's got Macaulay Jones in behind him. Frosty yesterday clicked up his 600th championship race in Supercars, which is a pretty special occurrence. And he'd come to the venue this weekend as an active driver with more race wins than anybody else in the field. He's tasted a lot of success around here.
And if you weren't with us yesterday, this weekend for the first time, we've got the LED displays in the top left-hand side of the windscreen there. You can see Thomas Randall with 20, so that's not his car number. His car number is 55, but that's the position in the field. So we've done that as a another initiative for Supercars, for television viewers and for people at the track on venue to be able to know where your favourite driver's running. Look at this, those numbers will change in a second there, Neil. They'll go from 21, 20, whatever that is.
It's any man's guess as to how this could play out. So they're very tightly bunched, these guys. Corley Jones in the gold Camaro this weekend, Pizza Hut on that car, and the Castrol car.
G'day Ron, g'day Ace.
Tucked in behind, and Declan Fraser. Gar?
Just an update on David Reynolds. The team seemed to think that after that contact with Anton Di Pasquale and he was pushed wide into the sander, he swallowed
saying they got
the
no
whole heap of sand
viewers.
up the brake duct. The brakes are getting hot and the brake pedal's gone long, so Dave's lost confidence in the brake pedal.
Wonder how I'll go streaming this race in the corner.
For his woes at the moment, so he's sitting in 12th. He's behind Todd Hazelwood, just in front of Andre Heimgartner. Here he is out of turn 6. 1.3 seconds gap, 1 to 2 at the moment, so it's opened up slightly. Mark, I know you were looking at some data at the time, but I was making the point that Brown and Kostecki are really not necessarily in a battle with each other at the moment. It's the margin over James Courtney that matters for them, and any other threat from further behind that team will be
cool,
managing.
Ace.
We'll have to separate.
Did you try that Xbox this morning?
But they've got almost the best part of 3 seconds to James Courtney, so it's a handy position to be in at the moment from a strategy standpoint, and they can set and dictate the pace on the tyre herd.
Totally, and in terms of the degradation you spoke of earlier, fastest lap of the race with that 55.95 for Will Brown, but on the last lap he did a 56.05. So he was only 1/10 of a second away in terms of the delta, and that 1.4 second lead he's got over Brody is very impressive. So again, what you just said, clearly got to work out a strategy between them so they don't make a clumsy stop and they handle it the right way. But at the moment, Will Brown looks like he's got real authority over this race.
We're looking from the back of David Reynolds' car at Andre Heimgartner. I'm looking at the lap speed of Will Brown and the tapering of any speed. This is tight for Andre down the inside, and there really hasn't been any. It's pretty flat. His lap speed performance, Will Brown up the front. So, but this is also the case yesterday in the first 10 odd laps of the race. The tyres actually hung on quite nicely, and then we saw a little bit more of that tyre degradation later in the run. So that's just resolved for the moment. Reynolds and Heimgartner 12th and 13th. R&J Battery's entry is fast Kiwi. Andre Heimgartner dropped a couple of spots in the championship yesterday, back into 6th position. He's the new dad. And so is the guy that is racing just in front. And Cam Hill back into the lane. You heard Rihanna before just describing what the issue was there with the gear shift, unfortunately, on that car of Cam's. Cam Waters, on the other hand, is up into 9th spot here. He's 8.2 seconds from the lead. 29 laps remaining.
There was so much going on.
He's not terribly far away from the back of Shane Van Gisbergen here.
Yeah, like I said, every time you play it, it changes levels. Like, change what I start with.
Felt stronger than yesterday.
I said it to you as I came into the commentary box earlier. You felt that was the case. You just see a couple of interesting things that have happened just in car behaviour this week. And one of the things that Brody said yesterday was that
can't usually
as the track
get very far on this
he felt that it actually came to them. They didn't actually make that many
normal
changes
level.
to the car. It was more a question of the conditions just suiting him better.
I finished the game, but you've got to finish it like twice.
Which is what you're alluding to.
And the second time,
it does change as the
you've got these 5 rooms that you collect, and they make the game harder. And with all 5 of them, you end up going to new levels.
Hanging over him at the moment, you can just see that car.
You got things like this where you can
this is turn 4. It's got a
put
lot of
2 weapons in
camber
and it'll
this
double them
corner.
up.
Jack LeBrock is now into the pit lane.
Pretty much any weapons. Just got to have 2 of them.
And Scott Pye. Toyota forklifts on Charlie
A bit different to the shrines where
this weekend.
you upgrade
Now,
the levels.
8.5 seconds off the lead.
And here he is again. Every time you play it, it's got different. You get different power-ups and different things to collect.
Pass down there moves him up now into 7th position. And the hallmark of Shane's race yesterday was the long run. Came in on lap 27. He was
But all the
looking at his nearest opponent. He was either
all the
9 or 10
monsters
laps
and whatnot
deeper into the race than the
have
two
the same
people that he was
patterns.
racing. And then
So it's not
that's a
not
repeat
that bad once you get to learn it.
previous generation of car as well, and then being able to masterfully look after those tyres. Bryce Fullwood, Middy's entry for Brad Jones Racing in and done there as well. Seen a few different philosophies also as to whether they're changing loaded or rears, loaded side or rears only up and down the lane. There's been a couple of different theories there.
Yeah, you get this version you get
We didn't see a
shops.
lot of rear tyre changing yesterday, did we? We saw a lot of
That'll
loaded
give me an
side
extra
tyres.
life.
Gee, I'll tell you what, this consistency
Yeah, you
of
get
Will Brown is
shops to
very
buy,
impressive
so-
at the moment. The last few laps have all been 56.3s. He's just done a 56.27.
Yeah,
It's only
Cave
3 tenths away
Blazers.
from the fastest lap he's done.
It's on
He's actually
Steam.
now with a 2.1 second lead.
It's only
He has got the best
I think
consistency.
it's about
we've
15
seen
bucks,
in
but
any
I've
of the
got this
race
for
run
like
simulations and anything that we've
$2
seen this
in a
weekend.
pack with the other
By a
games.
fair margin. Cars flowing beautifully, not using the rear tyre up.
So what
Very
one I
nicely
am.
done. So this is the start of the Van Gisbergen move we saw him put on. He was almost in there, and he was able to drive it off the inside of the corner slightly better than Anton, and then over the top of the hill. The straight line performance of the car so equal, and he just ended up being able to position himself in a spot. Look at this. In fact, the Mustang just gets away just slightly.
One of the things that Shane's been really clever at executing now for a long period of time, he's got his own innate sense of traction control. His judicious use of the throttle and the amount of wheel slip that he's getting, and the gentle progression from whatever the, maybe 0% or some partial throttle in the mid corner all the way to 100% has been really impressive. Looking after those tyres. Now Cam Waters is marching along nicely here as well, and that moves him up now into 8th position ahead of Anton Di Pasquale. So 7 spots in positive for Cam Waters. That's impressive. So he's not terribly far behind Shane Van Gisbergen there. So obviously there's a bit of that in the setup of the Van Gisbergen car, but there's also a bit of it that's going on with the driver as well in the way that he manages that. That's a position gained also for Todd Hazelwood. So for Di Pasquale, doesn't look solid out there at the moment. Plus he's got the pain of the penalty hanging over him as well. Just in behind them is Golding. I beg your pardon, Slade. Then Reynolds, Heimgartner, Percat and Golding. So it's the new long car that's at the end of that group. Slade was a bit of a quiet achiever in yesterday's race as well.
Yeah.
And James Golding had pace, but the problem was he qualified so poorly after a pretty strong start early in the weekend. Here's the replay thanks to Bunning Straight power pass down the inside turn 1. And that one was pretty textbook, quite straightforward and simple. We have a look over his left shoulder.
It's actually helped
as much
by
gold
Anton.
as I can.
So he didn't actually force the pass himself. Anton had a little wriggle over that bump on the way into the corner. He was trailing the brake. He ended up running just slightly wide. Wasn't quite a car width, but it became a car width when Cam decided to park the monster Mustang down there. Lucko?
Scafie, if I can just quickly go back to that Anton Di Pasquale drama here with the
Need to get up
overtaking.
there
This was
too
one of the
late.
objectives we wanted from the Gen 3 cars. We wanted more overtaking. We wanted to make it harder. Now that's got less than half the downforce on the car as he turns. Really easy to block up. Now if I have a look at a little bit of a data here I've got to, I won't bore you again with it. This is Gen 2, the last cars, versus Gen 3. All we need to see here is this trace here. This is brakes, right? And here we go down into the last corner. The purple one is the Gen 3 car. So you can see here off the throttle earlier, on the brake way earlier. So what we've done is lengthen the braking distance. Bingo.
Yeah, well done.
And
Yeah,
further
cool,
to that,
man.
guys, I believe Anton might have a little bit of an intermittent radio issue
Cheers for
because they've
dropping
been
in,
setting up
bro.
a pit board for Anton's car, but they just said that they heard back from him as well. So they're a little bit perplexed if they can hear him inside that car at the moment. I asked the team if Anton knows he's got that 15-second time penalty. I got a little shake of the head.
Yeah, probably if I were Anton, I'd tune out from the world as well at the moment. It's not a lot of fun in his position. So he's got the 15-second penalty hanging over him, and he doesn't appear to have a car that's really working to his satisfaction. Now they've separated Will and Brody here, and they've brought Brody in first. He'll get an undercut
Sweet.
benefit from
Have
this.
a good one.
It won't make 3 seconds, but no.
Off you go, mate. Good job. don't get off that front too early.
Nice calm stop, and the performance there by Brodie in that early stage. Remember, he qualified 4th, made a nice start, and then was able to put that nice pass on David Reynolds. So 2 spots for him before the stop.
It wasn't super quick. It was a 4.2 second stop then for Brodie. So that leaves a margin of 6.7 seconds Brown over Courtney at the moment. So Will's got no real genuine pressure from behind at the moment. And the question that he and his engineer Tom Moore have got to ask and answer is whether they continue to run long now, and whether they leach any of that margin that they've got over their teammate Brodie Kostecki in the process. And
I
these next couple of laps as to whether or not they react.
couldn't sleep last night again. Ended up crashing at like 9 o'clock this morning. Got up at 1. What, half an hour ago?
Looked pretty good. That was neat. So we'll get a time check on that for you in a moment for young Matt Payne. One of the 3 rookies.
I can't believe Buda went that long
like
yesterday. It should have gone for 24.
So it's marginally quicker than Brodie Kostecki stopped by about half a second, 0.4 of a second in fact on our numbers. We've got 21 laps remaining. We are at half race distance, and this is our race leader. He's got 7.3 over James Courtney, and in turn has 1.6 seconds in hand over Chaz Mostert, who dives. So, and he's dragging with him Will Davison. So they'll emerge together at the end of this stop. Now, interestingly, Mark, Shane's jumped up into 3rd, but he's 11.7 off the lead at the moment. We'll keep an eye on those numbers.
Chaz did a nice job there of locking the wheels. It makes it easier for them to index the wheel gun onto the nut. So he locked the wheel, bang, and straight on. So nicely done. Those cars come in line of stern, they leave line of stern. So both teams perform very similar stops there. Nicely done by both of them.
They'll be sick at the side of each other by the time they get to the end of it now, because this dictates the fact that they're going to be together for the balance. So Alistair McVeigh just called David Reynolds, and James Courtney responding now as well. So Courtney out of position 2 into the lane for his compulsory stop, joined by Todd Hazelwood in the cool drive entry. That's Todd on the right-hand side of screen, and Andre Heimgartner in now as well, together with Brock Feeney. Now what's happening here is they're running Shane long again. Yep. He's 12.3 off the lead. He stopped on lap 27 yesterday.
Pretty much everyone's stopped halfway distance, haven't they? They were all sort of 21 on here. Now this rejoin with Courtney and Mostert will be interesting. The inside normally there has got better grip than you think because it's the new surface. So he's been able to make that work for him. So he's been able to not get hurt with the undercut. The reason the undercut didn't work for Mostert is their stop wasn't that fast actually. It's a 4.4.
Same problems have presented themselves for Dave Reynolds as far as not being able to hear the team on the radio. The team are now bringing out the electronic pit board to try and grab his attention. They were actually set up for a pit stop on the last lap. Dave clearly didn't hear them because he went by. They've had radio issues with that car all weekend, and clearly that's still an issue.
Yeah, I heard Al call him again, pit this lap, and obviously he's not responding. Jack Smith comes into the lane now as well. Meantime, Cam Waters has been shown a bad sportsmanship exceeding the track limits on the exit.
This
That's
race
Albert
is
Crane in the background on the exit of turn 7.
20 laps to go, just under.
A button on the steering wheel to confirm that he's heard the message to bring him in, and he hasn't responded at this stage. So 12.7 the margin, Brown over Van Gisbergen.
I'd be taking some risk out now if I was Erebus. I'd be bringing him in and getting this done. Just get it done. He's got real pace over everybody. Take all the risk out. We don't want safety cars. We don't want drama. We don't want anything to go wrong. Give himself a clear pit lane. So minimise the risk.
If you look at the margin between the leader and his teammate, Brodie Kostecki, who's the leader of the group that's pitted, that number's 31 seconds. It takes 27 seconds to get through the pit lane, plus the stationary time. Now, our average stop time seems to be 3 seconds. Is that fair?
Yep.
There or thereabouts?
Yep.
So it's very close. But what you're getting nervous about is it could cross over here.
Exactly.
Michael, we saw that happen yesterday with Van Gisbergen, and provided you don't panic and you're on the grippier tyre at the end, you are in a better position off the back of that. Problem with this one for Barry, and this is a good problem to have when you're running a team, it's your teammates that you've got to resolve it with. And that's a little bit harder than it sounds, because both engineers and both drivers, they want to do their own thing. So they now respond.
Good call.
Mark's relieved.
They're going to give you some room.
This is smart.
Uncle Mark, settle down now.
Don't stop short.
And following him in is car number 97, Van Gisbergen.
Clear when we're ready. Go.
That all pretty neat, didn't it? Now, where does he blend with his teammate? And his teammate at the moment, in car number 99, is looming.
Just in behind Randall.
So he's still got a cushion here. And he actually gets it.
Well done.
Yeah, that was key.
Well done. Well done.
Getting in front of the truck assist car was very important in that process.
And he summed that up very quickly. He turned himself out there, he saw the other car and drove straight across in front of him. So it was a very nice way of merging on the freeway. Don't try that at home.
Van Gisbergen followed him in. We were focused on Will Brown, and Shane's popped back out in 11th position. Declan Fraser. Cam Waters actually leads it now. There's only about 4 drivers that have yet to stop. And just as I spit that out, Waters is in.
Got a nice and clear run. It's not too early. Coming through the captain box.
So, yeah, so
Nice and hard.
Van Gisbergen will actually be quite close with Waters, won't he? Because he will have effectively undercut Waters.
Go.
That looks speedy.
That was a good stop, wasn't it?
Great stop, mate. Looking good.
Yeah. Showing us 4 seconds for Cam. Better. And he's come out in front of Bryce. So he's in 11th position. Shane's up the road a little bit in position 11. So Di Pasquale's actually leading the race, but it's a false dawn because he got a 15-second penalty. He's yet to stop. And you only get a certain number of garages that you're allowed to roll down the inside parallel like that. I need to dive on the book again to remind myself of how many, but it's not many. I know that.
Didn't really want to be a takeout watch then for a little while. It looked like that tower was going to get knocked over.
Disassembled pretty quickly. Thomas Randall jumps into the lane now as well. Personal best on the last lap for David Reynolds, and the quickest lap of the race still belongs to Will Brown. He's got the 5 bonus points for his trouble. So the real story here is the margin between Will Brown and Brodie Kostecki's 2.5 seconds. So even though we were starting to sweat up, not much has happened there, Garth.
Just saw that Nick Percat incident happen live. He launched out of his box and he clearly got the word to say stop, and then he went again, and it was 4 booms that he drove past side by side with that other car. Pretty sure the rule's only 2 booms you're allowed to go by.
It's 2 garages, I think. So, yeah, he was trundling a long way down there. Part of that'll be a lack of vision. He's waiting to see the other car, but you definitely can't trundle down there too long for obvious safety reasons. So Di Pasquale now out of the lead of the race, comes in for his stop.
15-second penalty.
And Ben Croak delivering the sad news. Yeah. So he's going to sit there for 15 seconds, which will feel like 15 hours as he tries to reconcile what happened and how he got himself in that position. It's frustrating when you just park there in that position.
Now, of all the cars that Percat should have been able to see, it's Macca's.
That's right. That's good. You can see it from the International Space Station. Brown's got 2.7 seconds over Brodie Kostecki. And the margin to James Courtney is 5 seconds. They're in good shape here with only 13 laps to go. This is on target to potentially be an errorless one too, and pretty comfortable.
It's been a very dominant display.
Do not see a lot of threat from behind right here at the moment. James Courtney is sitting in third spot. He's 5 seconds off, and then Mostert's only about 3/4 of a second behind him, Craig.
Yeah, Neil, I was interested to hear what you comment about, obviously, Cam Waters getting track limits. And the track limits is this curb on the exit of the last corner, turn 7. Now, I've been watching him for a number of laps, and I was interested to see his line. So we know that curbs are really important to be able to ride around here, but again, track limits is also really important not to go over them. Now, Cam Waters has got the only car, he's skating down it like a skate ring. It really is, he's actually straddling both sides of it every lap. Everyone's trying to avoid it. The best car that I've seen out here at the moment is Will Brown. Will Brown's been able to rotate that Coca-Cola Camaro and basically get the drive, and you can hear the throttle application much smoother and much earlier than anyone else.
Yeah, exactly right. I thought the same earlier, Lounsey, when you watch Will Brown's car come off there. It's actually how far down that curb where you're standing, it's how far down the curb Will Brown comes out on it. He comes out on it later than pretty much everybody else.
Go Will.
And the way he
Even though it's a shitty Ford Mustang.
Reinforcing there with the way that he just puts his foot on the throttle, he does a very nice job. And this is also what Craig was talking about. You watch this monster Mustang. There's a wheel on the side.
You're going to shoot the ball. Why not do it with some skill? I see you've been practicing at some point in the past. No, this can't be happening. I'm afraid it is happening, Marty. All of it.
Horrible crunch goes through the entire chassis just before we go to Mark Larkin. James Goldie's got the new fastest lap of the race, and that's some bonus points for him, Mark.
Yeah, I think intrigued with that curve there that Craig was describing. I've quite done a few cars this weekend. There's a cross member goes across the rear here, which is the main thing that's hitting. But for this weekend, they've put a little protection device, a little sort of a metal armour over the rear of the transaxle, so it can't drop off the back of the curve.
Look, I made a mistake.
So good preparation in advance.
It was always going to be a talking point. I'd have to say that it's been far less controversial thus far, turn 7. But the pre-game suggested, thought, as we start to turn our attention to this racetrack, that it would be something that would be discussed with much greater vigour.
Listen, I'm just in the wrong house.
Combox window 1 moment ago, Matt Payne had to go all the way around the long way around the outside of the turn 7 curve, so that's not what you want to do. And unfortunately, Tim Slade, what a shame. The top 10 result yesterday, and an issue that's got him parked off on the inside at the pit lane exit on the inside of turn 1. Bit of pressure coming on here. Bryce Miller on David Reynolds here at the moment, battling for position number 11, and David just driving slightly to the right to make life a little more difficult.
What do you want, gigawatts? Great Scott! Okay, I don't want any trouble. What the hell is a gigawatt?
In June, when the whole circus heads to the Northern Territory and to Darwin for one of the most popular events on the tour as well. Get up there, escaping winter.
27.4. Ah! Mom, it can't be you. I just want to know one thing. Where's my father? Where's George McFly? We just bought us some time.
Inside there at Newline Racing, Peter Shivers and Cook. Let's go to Reed.
They just had a quick chat to Matt, the team principal down here at Newline Racing. It's another gear selector issue, so it's completely broken away from the chassis for Tim Slade.
It's like we're in hell or something.
It's a bit of frustration. He jumped out so strongly at Newcastle, Tim Slade was really happy, but just all these little execute things are a challenge, aren't they? Protect pit stop times, that's evident on the right-hand side, pretty impressive. Brad Jones Racing.
This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
All belong to Brad Jones Racing. Well done. They practice vigorously. They're the only regional-based supercar team. They're on the border between Victoria and New South Wales in Albury. All of the other teams.
Another time multi-ball.
Southeastern Queensland, Brisbane, Gold Coast, and down in various parts of Melbourne. And winning the Pertec Golden Rattle Gun has always been a big part of their repertoire. Pertec have just
Another time jackpot. Overboard multi-ball. This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
Pertec dollars again, and they got on Rattle Gun later in the year.
So this is a very impressive performance.
Oh, it's Hill Valley, although I can't imagine hell being much worse. See, while we were in the future, picked up the sports book, stole the time machine, went back in time and gave the book to himself at some point in the past.
is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor. Flux capacitor multi-ball!
It's not just his throttle application, it's actually the line that he takes. How much turning he gets done here, to how straight he comes off the corner, and how straight he comes out of turn 6. So all the exits have got hardly any steering on the car.
And he's running it around the white line at turn 1.
I'm not gonna believe this! We gotta go back to 1955!
I don't believe it!
Around the short sharp line, forward up the inside now, having a crack. Sense something had failed, but didn't fully understand what it was. Well, he's going to have a as well. That's actually contacting.
What if we don't succeed?
We must succeed. 1.21 gigawatts! Great Scott!
What the hell is a gigawatt?
Input the destination time, 1985. Welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life. Good evening. I'm Dr. Emmett Brown. I'm standing on the parking lot at Twin Pines Mall. The sucker's electrical, but I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity I need.
Will's cruising, going back to those images we saw before. He's got that out for 5 seconds now. What an extraordinary turnaround. Spinning out of contention, race 6.
All right, we're the pinheads.
Pretty solid result. And then a shocker of a qualifying run and first run yesterday, and then such a mega bounce back today. And this has just been a picture-perfect run.
Well, it's DeLorean, right? Got that thing hooked up to the car.
He's out there on the weeds. The story itself.
You got me, the car! What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour! The temporal displacement occurred exactly 1:20 a.m. at 0 seconds! This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
Doc, you disintegrated Einstein.
Calm down, Marty. I didn't disintegrate anything.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style? Besides, the stainless steel construction made the flux dispersal.
Golding must be up 10 spots, and so's Feeney. I think they're up a long way. Certainly Golding, there you go, up 10 spots. So very nice performance by James. He's forced his way through the field very well.
This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
And is this a move that can be cleanly done? Looks like it's going to be
out of time multi-ball.
In the turn down on the inside, 6 Campbell is able to just make that.
Out of time jackpot.
Thank you very much. James Golding moves up on Bryce Corbin in the 11th position here as well.
Out of time jackpot.
3 laps to go, so this one's pretty much all over by farm shouting. So the margin's actually crept up even further at 6 seconds. So Brody's probably also rolled out. It'll be really a combination sequel on this one. They're the two.
Out of time jackpot. Damn. I'm late for school.
Of James Courtney, so it's a
We
nice job
just
here
bought
for
us some
James.
time.
And what a great reward it is for that group, men and women at Tickford, after the pain that they've been through in the early part of the year, punched the turn 7 wall at Newcastle.
This is what makes time travel possible.
At
The flux capacitor.
podium here in Perth. It just
Flux capacitor multi-ball.
for that team. Very nice. Bounce back. And James is very nicely done. There he is in the background. You can see the margin.
Flux jackpot.
Pick up that shot.
Marty, you made it.
You're the doc.
Strategy race, but I just looked at the best lap, last lap column on our timing.
What do you want? Gigawatts. Great Scott.
What the hell is a gigawatt?
Marty, you must be extremely careful not to run into your other self.
The difference between best and worst effectively.
Are you two related?
Second or thereabouts in some cases. If you average the field, some of them are hurting more than others. Van Gisbergen is now up into 5th place. This is not a bad recovery, is it? Just chipping away at the task. Davison has a peek down the inside.
You two
So we've
related?
got less than 2,400 metres to run now for Will Brown. This is a great story for him.
The book is on Biff's dashboard.
Podium at the Grand Prix. He suffered the indignity of a troubled run yesterday, and when he was interviewed earlier today, it's like, well,
You two related?
that we did all these clever things to the car, but it's really been me. So there's a very frank disclosure of workmanship and an improvement in that area. He has done just a picture-perfect, beautiful job today. He has brain. He's got the margin out to 6.4 seconds.
You two related?
It looks like he's on a cruisy Sunday drive. He bowls down into the final corner here. Lines it up.
Holy, the book is on Biff's dashboard. He's got the book, the old man's gone too.
His second career victory in Supercars for the 24-year-old from Toowoomba.
The car was bloody fast. Holy God. That was awesome. Really good.
It was fast, and it was awesome, and it was really good, and it was good enough to get home by 6.2 seconds over his very quick teammate, and that is a 1-2 for Erebus today.
What the fuck happened there? You must have slept well. It's all
We just bought us some time.
Must have slept well. About the language, folks, but their comment was actually, you must have slept well. What happened there from yesterday?
They'll all be doing sleep therapy if that's how you can get on with the job. And as I said a few moments ago, you dip your hat to James Courtney and his group as well. First
Out of time, multi-ball. Out of time, jackpot.
Fantastic performance. Hey, Chad, this is going to be great.
As soon as we get to the school. Well, it's a DeLorean, right?
We just bought us some time.
Long time in the making. What a proud moment this must be for you guys.
I gotta go. I got one chance. My old man's about to get there. Hoverboard multi-ball. Double scored. Out of time, jackpot.
This is what makes time travel possible. Flux capacitor. We just bought us some time.
Out of time, jackpot.
You're leading the Drivers' Championship and also now extending your lead in the Teams' Championship. Can it get any better than this? Yeah, we'll win the next one.
Out of time, jackpot.
So, fine performance.
Out of time, jackpot.
So, recently got a nice to hear Barry talking about the camaraderie between the two drivers. Brody enjoyed it as much as Will. Comments on the radio there before. Fantastic performance confirmed here by...
My hands, Doc! I got it in my hands!
It's a close one, Marty. I almost bought the farm. Burn it.
Our winner is Will Brown. You're going to hear that phrase all three. Stephanie Courtney lost it. Van Gisbergen recovered nicely to...
Out of time, jackpot!
It was a close one, Marty. I almost bought the farm.
Fast opponents out there. James Golding
Out of time,
as
jackpot!
ahead of that in position forward, followed then by Feeney, Reynolds, LeBron, Jones, High, Winterbottom, Percat, Smith. Squad 15 seconds punches him back to 22nd position.
Be careful! You don't want to get struck by lightning!
Pertec victory lane though today belongs to that young man, Will Brown. And he has done a
Out of time, jackpot!
recovery to be able to bank the points. The fastest lap.
According to this, the time vehicle is sealed off at a side tunnel. We may have to blast. This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
So there was 3/4 of a second to the second variance across the journey.
The comment of the race was his young engineer at the end. He said, Tom Moore said to Will Brown, that was an absolute masterclass. Could not have explained it better.
So Will Brown sort of lost his way to the Pertec victory lane, but he's here and he's enjoying every minute of this moment. Congratulations. What happened? Did you get lost?
Yeah, I did get lost. Obviously, didn't expect this. I didn't even know where to go. But no, awesome. Got off the.
Destination time. My initials, just like in Journey to the Center of the Earth, we're descending towards Hill Valley, California, at 4:29 p.m. on Wednesday, October 21st, 2015.
Look, I need to borrow your hoverboard. 2015? You mean we're in the future?
Living this dream, but for the team, you guys have worked.
The answer's no, Grip.
To be 1-2 for the very
The answer's no, Grip.
For me, bro. Did only be signed a couple of years ago, and now might be here. 1, 2.
The answer's no, Griff.
He did a great job on Reynolds that I saw in my mirror.
In exactly 2 minutes, you go round the corner into the Cafe 80s.
Qualifying 1-2 Grand Prix, but a lot of firsts for Erebus lately.
Congratulations, enjoy the champagne.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, Rebel legend Brody Kostecki back on the podium for the second
Wait for a guy named Griff.
Congratulations. I know you're just as happy to see Will Brown.
Nobody calls me chicken.
50 years of sports statistics. Hardly recreational reading material, Marty.
This is heavy.
Marty, I didn't invent the time machine for financial gain.
We're just on another planet, so yeah, cars are unreal. So we have to tune mine up a little bit for the next one. Otherwise, Will's gonna give me a problem.
Extended the lead in the drivers'
couldn't end like
championship.
this.
The team's leading the team's championship. Just tell us how this, I guess, resets expectation moving forward. Every qualifying, every race, how you're pushing yourself to be the very best.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the expectation since the first round, obviously, getting the first pole for this new era was, really cool. But yeah, to be able to carry out this pace, all the way to this round, yeah, let alone the last few that we have, has just been absolutely unreal. So just a big thank you to, the whole Erebus crew and my engineer and Tom as well. Yeah, it's been fantastic so far. But yeah, head down for the next one.
Go and enjoy the moment with your teammate.
Thank you.
And James Courtney, after what's been a very turbulent start to the year, is back in Pertec victory lane. James, I imagine moments like this make all the blood, sweat and tears worth it.
Yeah, hopefully I get to keep this podium, but no, it's fantastic. The car was really good. It's been quite quick all week. We haven't been here all week, but the last few days. And Scout's done a great job. Got a new number one crunch on the car. The car's been mint and it's run flawless all weekend. So, no, super happy for the Snow River car to be on the podium. Thought we were going to get there yesterday, but those other two boys on new tyres at the end. But no, great.
Okay,
not a good one starting position in the next one, so it's going to be hard. So I had to make the most of it.